Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Jays Fit Down Football Podcast. Happy Halloween. Thank you guys for joining us here today as we talk about some NFL news, got a trade today as well, and some interesting college news coming out of the University of Florida. Before we get to that, make sure you check us out, subscribe, like, comment, share. We're here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast, Jays Fit Down. Check us out. Baltimore Ravens, their defense hasn't been that well this year, giving up a couple big leads in some games. So they go out and get a really good linebacker in Roquan Smith and trade for him today. Bears send him over there to the Baltimore. The Ravens send over a second round pick and a fifth round pick in 2023 for Roquan Smith, who is second in the NFL in tackles with 606 since 2018. Only trail is Bobby Wagner, who is with the Rams. So they bring a guy, some leadership, some veteran experience to that defense to complement that linebacking core, Patrick Queen and Josh Bynes, who have not really been getting the job done. So they bring in Roquan Smith, who had been kind of disgruntled. He wanted to try out Chicago earlier this year. They didn't do it. So he kind of just been playing through it. And eventually we got to this point. They end up sending him to the Baltimore Ravens. This is a huge pickup for Baltimore as they get, like I said, a good experienced linebacker. He's physical. He's very smart around the football. A line, assign, attack. That's his deal on defense. He's like I mentioned. Over 600 tackles since 2018. Really good guy. Who can put his nose on the football and bring people down. So, a great move right there for the Ravens to get Roquan Smith. And for the Bears, you trade away Robert Quinn to the Eagles, and then you trade Roquan Smith. So it's obvious that they are just it seems to me that they kind of just put a bow on this season, just wrapped it up. Say, hey, you know what? We're going to get as much compensation as we can get for some of these guys on these expiring contracts, these veteran guys that don't really fit what we're trying to do. They're trying to build around Justin Fields. And it's just what it seems like they're trying to do. Is how you hope that's what they're aiming to do. Get all these draft picks. Maybe get some offensive linemen in the draft next year, some receivers to kind of help bolster that room for Justin Fields so he can continue to grow and develop and be successful in this league as a quarterback. Overall, the Bears just haven't had a great year offensively, and got that big win over the Patriots, last week. But since then, Monday Night Football. But since then, just really overall, just hasn't been a good year for the Bears. They've struggled, to get into the end zone, to score points. Defense has been playing well, but not all that well, as they gave up over 40 points to the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. So this is this is a move that I feel like the Bears were going to make at some point, and they end up doing it now before the trade deadline, which is tomorrow at 4:00 p.m. Eastern time. So I expect a whole lot more deals to be done. Like I said, we already saw Robert Quinn get traded to the Eagles, who are flying high. They're 7-0. Just beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 35-13. We'll get into that a little bit more, but so it seems to me that the Bears are really trying to just mold this team into just a new era, right? They're trying to get rid of these expiring contracts, and they're hoping to move on. But yeah. Speaking of the Eagles, they remain 7-0, undefeated, with the 35-13 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, their in-state rivals. Just dominant performance from A.J. Brown, who had 3 receiving touchdowns, over 100 yards receiving. Big day for him through the air. Jalen Hurts as well. Just 4 passing touchdowns. Of course, 3 of those went to Brown. So that connection that we knew that they would establish has been great this year overall, and has helped lead them to 7 wins, as well as the defense playing so good. And they've been very stout against the run, very good in pass coverage. Darius Slay Jr., he's had a great year. It's for the veteran cornerback. Came over from the Lions a couple of years ago, and they brought him over there to just bring some experience and some leadership to that secondary, and he's done it, and he's had a great season for the Eagles. So kudos to him and that whole defense for getting it done. To help that offense. And the offense, again, has just been moving the ball down the field. Jalen Hurts is continuing to just develop and mature, and, he's become that quarterback that the Eagles knew he was coming out of the draft, right? And that's why they picked him coming out of Oklahoma. A lot of people question, would he be the guy for the future after, a strange 2020 season for his rookie year. And last year was, he did well, but it wasn't, what what they probably expected it to be. And then he is completely growing this year under Nick Sirianni, his second year head coach. And so now I really believe the Eagles, if they continue to, their next 3 games are against, I believe, the Bears, the Washington Commanders, and another team I can't remember exactly, but very 3 winnable games over the next couple of weeks. They could easily go 10-0. Can they go undefeated? I'm not sure. They have to go travel back to Dallas to go play the Cowboys and very soon, in a couple of weeks, so almost a month. So I mean, I think that would be the huge test for both teams to see, where they're both at. The Cowboys, of course, get the win against the Bears yesterday, over 40 points scored. Tony Pollard had a great day on the ground. He's, to me, established himself as the running back one. He is the starting running back. I believe he should be. Ezekiel Elliott just doesn't have that burst anymore that he did have. I mean, led the league in rushing yards his rookie year in 2016, but really since then hasn't had a productive year. Has struggled with fumbles and turnovers a couple years ago, and that's just been a knack on him. He's just, each year he's kind of declining, and I think the best thing to do right now is just have that 1-2 punch. You start Pollard, Zeke's the backup, you split carries, maybe lean towards more Pollard for the carries, than Zeke, even though Ezekiel Elliott is good in pass protection. That's the one thing I say that Tony Pollard is not that good at, just watching the tape, but he is a very elusive back and catch the football out the backfield. He's very shifty between the tackles, very fast guy in space, hard to bring down. He's strong. Tony Pollard is a really good back, and I believe he should be the starting running back in Dallas. But of course Jerry Jones isn't going to do that and say that, no, we're still going to go with Zeke and this and that. We're going to go with Zeke because Zeke's our guy. And yeah. No, well, you pay. The reason he has to say that is because they're paying Ezekiel Elliott this huge contract, so of course they're going to keep playing him. But it's if you watch the Cowboys play, you already know that Tony Pollard is the better running back of the two. I just don't even think it's close right now, to be honest. So I just believe that moving forward, I expect him to get a lot more reps and to just be that leading back in that room for the Cowboys there. So good win for them. They moved to 6-2 on the season, right behind the Eagles and the Giants. Actually, they're ahead of the Giants. So they're right behind the Eagles in the NFC East, which has been playing really well this year. First, a couple years ago, they were one of the worst divisions in football. And then, last couple of years, they've been getting better. And they're probably the best, record-wise, the best division in the NFL this year, So, and I believe the worst division, probably you could say, the NFC South, which the Atlanta Falcons are leading at 4-4 after their big win over the Carolina Panthers yesterday. They won 34-31. Back and forth game. Big, DJ Moore hauled in what seemed to be the game-winning touchdown, but took his helmet off and had an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, which was costly. Moved the extra point try back 15 yards, and Eddie Pinheiro missed that, and he also missed the game-winning field goal for the Panthers, and the Falcons would get them going down the field and driving and scoring their game-winning field goal by Younghoe Koo. So they end up winning that game, and they take first place in the NFC South. They're in front of the Bucs, the Saints, and the Panthers. So good win for the Falcons there as they continue to just find ways to win football games, and just get it done. Defense has been playing very good this year, much more better than what we've seen the past couple of years. They're continuing to grow and improve and get better. Obviously, you have a lot of injuries with, A.J. Terrell and some of those guys in the secondary, but they're continuing to just learn and make plays, and that's all you can ask for. So, good win for them. But the Buffalo Bills, second best record in the NFL behind the Eagles. They are 7-1 on the year. So, after the big win over the Packers last night on Sunday Night Football, Josh Allen went crazy, of course, like he always does. Over 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns passing as well. And just had a great day for him. Stephon Diggs over 100 yards receiving, that 1 touchdown reception there. Good day for him as well. So just overall great effort from Buffalo offensively. Not what you're used to. They only scored 27 points. So little things to clean up. But overall they played a really good game. Defense played really good as well. Aaron Rodgers was he was uncomfortable all night. They kept getting a lot of pressures on him. Gregory Rousseau had a sack on him as well. Just not a lot going on there for the Packers offensively. And then again, they continue to struggle. And so the big thing for them has got to be, they've got to solidify that wide receiver core. They got to do it. And the trade deadline, again, is tomorrow at 4 p.m. So, we could see some deals happen. A lot of names have been thrown out there. Brandon Cooks has been thrown out there, for the Packers. I mean, this is a guy who has had multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons since he entered the NFL. Had a big couple years with the Rams and the Patriots. And then he came over to the Texans after that, and just maintained that role of consistency and fluidity there. Just getting those consistent 1,000-yard receiving seasons. So Brandon Cooks is a guy that could be moved prior to the deadline. Something to watch out for. As well. I just do believe that the Packers have to get a receiver, at some point, whether it is through free agency or through the trade by tomorrow or through the draft. I mean, you got Christian Watson, you got Alan Lazard, who was injured. You got Romeo Doubs, who had a touchdown last night. He's continuing to grow and play better each week by week, the rookie. However, Aaron Rodgers needs somebody that's more established. Veteran guy, right? And that's what they brought in Sammy Watkins to do. He hasn't really done that. He struggled with injuries himself. So I believe at some point, if you're the Green Bay Packers, you have to address that position and you have got to go out and get your receiver. And to me, Brandon Cooks is the best option for them. You also Jerry Jeudy with the Broncos. He's another name that's been thrown around, but it's likely that the Broncos will not trade him. Particularly after the win against the Jacksonville Jaguars in London yesterday, and so that game really pretty much saved a lot of people's jobs with the Broncos, especially Nathaniel Hackett, because there was a rumor going around that he probably would have gotten fired if they lost that game. I don't really believe that was going to happen, but it could have. We've seen crazier things happening in the NFL recently. Bradley Chubb, another name that was thrown out there. A lot of teams have been calling the Broncos about Bradley Chubb. As far as I'm hearing right now, the Broncos are staying pat with him right now until they get an offer that they can't refuse. But as far as we're concerned right now, he is still a Denver Bronco, and the team is going to continue to listen to these calls that they get regarding him, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, another receiver on the team as well that have been getting some interest from other teams around the league. So something to definitely keep an eye on as we move throughout the next 24 hours, of course. But overall, yeah, a great weekend of football. A lot of important games, division games. Rams and 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo and that offense continue to work wonders against a really good Rams defense. the Rams still have not beaten the 49ers in the regular season. However, they have been beating them in the postseason twice. So, but there's something for 49ers fans to cheer on right there. Christian McCaffrey, just a great game. He did, he was a trick of all trades yesterday. Had a passing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. First to do that since LaDainian Tomlinson back in 2005. So it was a really impressive game by him. Had 94 rushing yards, 55 receiving yards. Of course, that one touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk early in the first quarter. The move to get him out to San Francisco was very smart by John Lynch and those guys in the front office for the 49ers. Bring him out there. You add another dynamic to that offense for Kyle Shanahan. He's already got George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, it's just really, and then you add Christian McCaffrey to that, along with all those guys. It's a defense that's tough on the defense because you don't know who to stop, who to lock in on particularly. You're locking on George Kittle, they're going to get the ball out to Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Christian McCaffrey, you lock on Brandon Ayuk. Of course, so on and so forth, right? And really the main target has been Deebo Samuel. He's been out with an injury, but when he does return, it's just going to create much more opportunities for everybody, including Christian McCaffrey. So that's just something really interesting to watch out for there. I just overall have been really impressed with how the 49ers have been moving about this. They're continuing to find these games to win. They bounced back after a tough loss against Kansas City last week. They come out and get the win yesterday. It was tough early on, but they, defense, played well. They continued to fight and just keep going. And offensively, Jimmy Garoppolo had a good day. So the 49ers continue to stay afloat in the NFC West. However, things aren't so good out in Las Vegas, the city of sins, the city that's, everybody goes to have fun and celebrate, and just live it up, right? Las Vegas, no, for the Raiders, that's not been the case. They've struggled this year, moved to 2-6 after the loss to the Saints, 24-0 yesterday, just complete shutout by the New Orleans defense, just looking like their old selves. Derek Carr and the offense could not cross midfield all game. All game. They couldn't get past the 50-yard line. They did not get past midfield all game. So it's really intriguing to me how a team with Devontae Adams at wide receiver, Josh Jacobs at running back, Hunter Renfrow at the other wide receiver position, just talented offensive pieces, and they're not able to score a single point, not even get a field goal against the New Orleans Saints, who have struggled themselves in recent weeks. So just something's not right there in Las Vegas, with Josh McDaniels and that crew down there. I don't know exactly what it is, but Derek Carr, not a good day for him, not just overall for the offense. It was not a good game. And so they're looking to bounce back after that. But the Saints get the win there, 24-0. Much needed win for them, morale booster, confidence booster as they struggled again, like I said, in the past couple of games. So this was a good game for them to get their mojo back and, get back on the saddle in the NFC South, which again is being led by the Atlanta Falcons. Overall, very interesting day of football. We also got the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football tonight. Cincinnati got the win over the Falcons last week, 35-17, and the Browns are coming off of a loss. So, these teams continue to try to, find momentum. The Bengals are wanting to continue their winning momentum that they've been, getting after struggling early on in the season. They seem to hit their stride. However, Jamar Chase is going to be out for the next about 5 or 6 weeks or so with the hip injury. So, you look for Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and those guys to make up for that production as well, as they always do. Everybody eats on that offense. But Joe Mixon on the ground, look for him to get a lot of touches this game, just to continue to produce that offensive attack for the Bengals. And for the Browns, they just they're at the point in the season where, you want to just, keep playing and just trying to compete, keep competing, and they're waiting for Deshaun Watson to come back at this point. So that's just something to monitor there for the Browns, and Kareem Hunt is also a name that's been mentioned in trade rumors as well. Depending on the outcome of the game tonight, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Kareem Hunt is a name that could be thrown into the trade pool as well. A lot of teams have been interested in him. So that's just something to monitor as we go throughout tonight and then throughout tomorrow, all the way up until the 4:00 p.m. trade deadline. And in switching over to college news, Brenton Cox, a star defensive end out of the University of Florida, has been dismissed from the team, according to head coach Billy Napier. We're not exactly sure what the cause of that was, but he has been dismissed from the program. So, he will no longer be playing football for the Florida Gators. So that's your tidbit there of college news. Georgia, Tennessee, this upcoming weekend, big game at 3:30 Eastern time. The two number teams in the country, Georgia at number 1, Tennessee at number 2. That's gonna be a great game. So you guys can definitely check that out on CBS on Saturday as well. So, but again, make sure you guys check us out here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Subscribe, check us out there. We're also on every podcast platform, so just check us out and make sure you give a look at the Browns and the Bengals tonight on Monday Night Football on ESPN, streaming live on the ESPN app and NFL Plus. Thank you guys for watching, listening, tuning in to Jay's Fifth Down. Happy Halloween.